What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tiffany, aka Tilago. If you're new around here, I talk about all things the faith journey and living in and on purpose. And today, I ain't gonna lie to you, I really was not trying to record a video right now, y'all. I was trying to go sit on the couch. Okay, your girl has had a very long weekend, all the things. Really have not been prioritizing rest, but I felt like I had to sit down and talk about this thing because it has been on me all week long, ever since I went to church on Sunday. And so today we're going to talk about kind of this topic or this thing. I got it written on a sticky note because it came to me like as I was sitting and working this week. And I also, well, it really came to me when I was sitting in church on Sunday, but it came back to me as I was sitting and working this week. And that thought or that question that I want to ask ourselves is, how committed are you really? How committed in your walk? How committed to the Lord are you really? And we're going to talk about a verse that I have here. We're going to talk about how this came about. And then I'm going to try to share with you all, how many did I write down? 2 signs that you're actually committed. I forgot I wrote this down until I literally just sat down right now. I know I had written the first part, but anyway, we're going to flesh this out. So if you're ready to talk about it, it might sting a little bit. It's okay. Stinging is fine. Conviction is fine. It helps us to grow. We're going to be okay. So let's get into it. Okay, really quick story time. I was sitting at church. I went to visit another church this past Sunday, other than my home church, and message was really good. But there was one part of it, or not but, and there was one part of the message where the pastor was saying, he was basically talking about temptation, right? And so he said, if the temptation that you have is at your job, then maybe you should find another job. And then he said, if the temptation that you have is on your phone, maybe you should not have a phone. And I could just feel for myself, and I could feel in the room how nobody was trying to say, amen, pastor, or preach, like we normally do. Well, some of us normally do. I'm normally the one in the crowd who's like, preach it, pastor, But anyway, he said that, and I could just feel like nobody wanted to be like, preach, that's good, you right, da-da-da, right? Because it feels so extreme to us in our society. It feels so extreme for us to have to give up something if it is going to cause us to sin, if it is going to cause us to give into a temptation. If a temptation keeps showing up in a certain place, we feel like, I can overcome it. I'm going to be okay. There's no problem here, right? But I just loved how he said that, and he was so blunt about it and so straight up and down about it, because I feel like in our society, we are not being straight up and down enough about how you have got to be relentless in like fleeing from the enemy and fleeing from sin and in fighting, in the spiritual warfare that comes against us in order to really live this life in a life of abundance that God has called us to, right? In order to really become the disciples and the people that God is calling us to be, we got to really face some things and take this walk seriously is pretty much what I'm trying to say. You have to be committed to the walk. And so a verse that came to mind for me as I was thinking about this topic or this question was Matthew 18. And we're going to read verse 7 through 9. And y'all, I'm gonna be real. I literally just sat down. I did not plan out a whole bunch of anything. I just knew I had a verse and I knew I had some notes. Well, I didn't know I had all them notes, but I knew I wanted to talk about this topic. So we're just going to roll with it. Okay. We're going to start with some scripture and then we'll dig into those two ways that you are committed, basically. Okay. So the verse, like I said, we're reading is Matthew 18, verse 7 through 9. And it says this: woe to the world for temptations to sin, for it is necessary that temptations come, but woe to the one by whom the temptation comes. Okay, let's pause for a second. We got to do a quick Bible study. Jesus speaking, right? And he's saying, woe to the world for temptations to sin, as in, y'all, there's a whole bunch of different temptations that are going to come and that we are going to face here in this life and in this walk. And so the world, like, woe to the world, like warning to the world, because you are full of temptations to sin, right? Then he says, for it is necessary that temptations come. So he's saying like, okay, it's necessary for them to come because when we are tempted, it is actually like a testing to see like just how committed, just how serious we are about our walk, just how much growth or maturity we have in our faith journey. And so the temptations have to come in order to kind of like come against us. Also, we live in a fallen world, so temptations are absolutely going to be present in the world. So it is necessary for the temptations to come, but woe to the one by whom the temptation comes. Warning to the one by whom the temptation comes, as in, if you are the one who is causing someone else to be tempted, woe to you, warning to you. Okay. Like, that is not a good thing. Don't be the one out here tempting people. Okay. Verse 8 says, "And if your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame than with 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into eternal fire." Verse 9, "And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with one eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into the hell of fire." And so, like, when you read verses like this, you hear just how serious God is, how serious Jesus is about being serious about your walk, being serious about not falling into temptation, being serious about really, keeping yourself pure and yourself holy and yourself blameless and upright and righteous in him, right? And so he has already made us right in him, right standing. We are in right standing with him when we say yes to him and accept him into our lives. But there is a part that we have to play in our walk of faith. There is a part we have to play in our holiness. In order to mature, we've got to be those who are going to be serious, who are committed to the walk, because it is not going to always be butterflies and rainbows and ice cream. Okay. And so there's going to be temptations that come. There's going to be things that come. You have got to strengthen yourself up, gird yourself up so that when they do come, you don't fall into them. Right. And so he is saying all this like, woe to you and all these things, but then he gives these very, very clear instructions of, and it seems extreme, right? It seems really extreme to us to say, like, if your hand or your foot causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away. But Jesus is so serious about this thing where he's like, no, I don't want you to have anything in your life that is going to cause you to sin. I don't want you to be around anything in your life that is going to cause you to sin. So if you know it's something that is going to cause you to sin, get rid of it. Get it up out of your life. And this is really interesting that I'm reading this right now and that I'm thinking of this right now, because I just finished reading Deuteronomy, and he's talking all like, God is talking to Moses, and the commandments that he's giving him, a lot of them are all about purging the Israelite people, purging the culture of sin. And so he's like, if this happens, get them out, right? If this person murders, get them out. If this person commits this, get them out. And God is so serious about purity and about holiness. And he's so serious about not having people or things around that are going to tempt you or make you fall into sin. And so again, these things seem extreme. It seems extreme. It is extreme to cut off your hand, to cut out your eye, to cut off your foot, right? But the Lord is telling us, y'all, you think it's extreme, but what's more extreme is you ending up in the lake of fire, is you ending up in hell for the rest of your life, simply because you wanted to keep your hand or you wanted to keep your foot and you wanted to stay comfortable and you wanted to stay around the temptations that were in your life, right? Like he's like, no, get rid of these things so that you remain holy and you remain pure and blameless in my sight. And so that may seem extreme. It may seem extreme, like the pastor was saying, to leave your job if there's a temptation there, or it may seem extreme to get rid of your phone if the temptation is you scrolling on your phone or a number that you have in your phone. But listen, if it's either you really do value and honor and respect God as God and you have him on the throne of your heart, or you have idols that you respect even more. And I know in my last video, I talked about idolatry and idols and getting rid of idols from the book of, maybe that was Numbers. I was talking about that, but like, it just keeps coming up for me how many idols we have in our lives and how many things we really aren't willing to get rid of, and we aren't willing to be serious about getting rid of in order to stay committed to this walk of faith. And so I'm just here to remind us to do that, to stay committed to this walk of faith, this walk with the Lord. In order to remain holy and blameless and to walk upright, we have got to be serious about getting rid of the temptations that are in our lives. And so I want to touch on these two things that came to mind for me of just signs that you are committed. So as I wrote down this word of like, okay, how committed are you really? Or this question, how committed are you really to this walk? How committed are you really to the Lord? I decided, or I was sitting, I was thinking, I was praying, and I was like, well, how do I know how committed I am? How can I gauge that? If I say, yeah, I'm fully committed. Okay, what are the things I can actually look at my life and say that shows that she's fully committed, not just by words, but by action, right? And so I want to give you some things that you can use to gauge it. And it's very simple. And there are two things. The first one is, you know that you are fully committed to this walk with the Lord if you are willing to sacrifice anything. If you are willing to give up and get rid of anything at all in order to stay in right standing, in order to remain holy and pure, in order to do what the Lord calls you to do, then you are fully committed. That's a sign of commitment. That's a sign of somebody who is seriously committed. I think about relationships that we have in our lives, right? Just person to person. It can be friendships. It can be romantic relationships. But if you think about that, sometimes you think about, okay, if I know that this person doesn't like XYZ, if I really love this person, am I willing to give up this thing so that I can stay in community and in relationship with this person, right? Like that's the same type of vibe that we have to have, and the same type of energy we have to have if we're thinking about God. Is like, okay, if I know that these things, these certain things, these certain habits, these certain the things that I think about, these things that I do will not respect or honor God, then if I really truly love God, I'll get rid of them. I will sacrifice them. I will let them go, right? And as you get close, the thing is, as you get closer and closer to God and you get more intimate with Him, then actually your appetite changes and your desires change, right? Because He shifts and changes hearts and minds. And so as He does that, you actually don't even want those things anymore. So you sacrifice them. So they might be a sacrifice and they might be hard to let go of at first. But as you get closer and closer to Him, you start realizing how easy it is to get rid of the things that do not honor Him in your life, to get rid of the idols in your life that do not matter, or are not pushing you forward and moving you ahead in your faith and making you more mature, right? And so that first sign that you can, if you're looking at your life and you're like, am I really committed to the Lord? I want you to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm realizing I'm not actually ready to sacrifice for Him? What are the things that He is telling me to get rid of, or I'm getting convicted about doing, or I'm getting convicted about being around that but I still keep going back to these things, or I still keep keeping these things around me in my life. If there's anything like that, then that shows a sign that you actually maybe aren't as committed as you think you are. Point blank, period. Simple. Okay. Like, I think that we have lived too long in the gray area in our faith walk. We have lived too long in the gray area of saying like, well, I can, live for Jesus and say I live for Jesus, but still do X, Y, Z. I'm not putting no pieces on it today, or no specifics on it today, because the thing that I'm talking about for you in your life. It's like, when you know that you need to get rid of things in your life because they are not honoring God, and you're not actually getting rid of them, you're not really committed. That's just it. You're not really committed to this relationship. You don't really want it to grow. You don't really want to grow. If nobody has told you that, I do not mind being that person. I don't mind getting canceled and all this other stuff. Like, I'm tired of the gray area in our faith journey. I'm tired of hearing of women who are being lukewarm. I lived that life way too long. And it did not get me anywhere. It continued to get me back. The things that I continue to hold on tightly to, that I knew I was supposed to be sacrificing, those things continue to lead me down a path of destruction. They continued to add strife to my life, add confusion, add frustration, add anger, add doubt, add just destruction. My life looked crazy. I felt like I was all over the place. I never felt at peace. So it was me getting rid of those things. It was me letting go of the things that I felt like God was like, you have to sacrifice this. It was me getting rid of those things that really helped me to like fully embrace and fully like experience who God is, and fully experience who I am in Him, right? To fully experience my identity as a daughter of the King, as a daughter of Christ. And so if you are really trying to experience the fullness of who God is, and you're trying to experience the fullness of who you are in Him, you've got to get rid of the things that hinder you from seeing Him and from seeing yourself rightly. So sacrifice. What is it that God is telling you to sacrifice? Sacrifice it today. Make a decision to sacrifice that thing today. Okay. And then the second sign that you can tell, like, okay, how do I know that I'm actually committed to this walk, is how obedient are you? It is your obedience. When God tells you to do something, and this is kind of connected to the sacrifice, but when God tells you to do something or not to do something, how quick are you to obey? Do you obey? Are you like, I heard Him, but I'm still going to go do what I want to do. I heard Him, but I ain't going to listen. Like, if that is you, you are not committed to this walk. I'm telling you, there's no room for gray. You're either black or white. Are you committed? Are you obeying the Father? Are you obeying His commands? And if you're like, I don't hear Him, I don't know what He's saying, no problem. Read His word. When you read His word, are you obeying the things that you have read? Because once you read something, you are responsible for knowing it. So if you've read something in his word and you're like, ooh, that's actually convicting me, that's showing me I need to like stop doing this, or I need to do more of this, but you still don't go and act on those things, you are not being committed. You're not showing him that you're committed to this relationship. Y'all, I don't know how else to put that, how else to say that. You are not committed if you're not obeying. That's it. So in order for you to show God, no, I'm really committed to this walk, I'm really committed to this relationship, I'm going to obey you. It may not make sense. It may not feel good. It may not go the way I want it to go, even when I obey you, but I'm still going to obey you because I trust you, because I value this relationship, because I honor this relationship with you. And I have an awe and a reverence of you that trumps everything else. So I may feel like I'm going to look stupid. I may feel like this is going to lead me down a path I don't understand. I may feel like, again, it's very uncomfortable. It pushes me outside of myself, outside of my comfort zone, outside of what I've known all the time. But if I believe that you are who you say you are, and if I really fully like reverence you and have a fear of you, then I'm going to obey you, because that is the thing that matters. The thing that matters is me honoring you, right? So how committed are you to this walk? How committed are you to the Lord? And the way that you know, if you don't know the answer to that question, then ask yourself, what am I not willing to sacrifice? Or have I been sacrificing the things that I know he's telling me to? And have I been obedient in all the ways that he's telling me to be obedient? Am I doing the things that he's calling me to do? Am I not trying to like pick and choose what things I'm going to do? No. Am I committed by sacrificing what he tells me to sacrifice and obeying him when he tells me to obey him, when he tells me to do something? And so all of this really can be summed up by like, check your heart. Go check your heart. Check your heart. Go figure out what thing you are committed to, because you will know if it is the Lord, or if it is something else, if it is an idol that you have in your life. And I said it in the last video, idols don't have to be this big glaring thing in front of us. Idols sometimes are just simply like me not waking up early enough, or me still eating food that I know I'm not supposed to be eating, or me, whatever it is. Okay. It can be super simple, but whatever the idol is, whatever that thing is that you feel like you're holding on too tightly to, that's the thing that you need to go and figure out with God. Go take it to God, check your heart, because that thing is the thing that is sitting on the throne of your heart rather than God. And we don't want that if we're going to be followers. And so there's benefit. I didn't even write this down, but I can hear some of you like saying like, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice things and I'm going to obey him. But like, what is that going to get me? First of all, it's going to get you or going to keep you in an intimate relationship with him. You're going to know him fully. He's going to know you fully. And at the deepest depths of our core, we want to be known. We want to be fully known and fully seen. And so that is the thing that you're going to get. You're going to get that intangible thing of being fully known and fully seen in intimacy. But also you're going to like reap the blessings and the gifts. Yes, there are blessings. This is not a prosperity gospel, but even in the Bible, there are definitely if then statements in the Bible, throughout the Bible. If you obey, if you do this, if, then you will see this. Then you will see the goodness of God. Then you will see my hand on your life. Then you will see favor. Then you will see, I will raise you up. All these different things, all these different verses that you can find where it's if then statements, right? So if you are obedient, if you are committed to this walk, if you will sacrifice these things, then God will honor your sacrifice. He will honor your obedience. And so you will have this beautiful relationship with him, but also out of that relationship flows all the blessings that he is going to provide for you. So, that's all I want to say. I really didn't even know I had that much to say. When I say I literally wrote down I wrote down this on the sticky note. That's it. And then I just knew the verse that I wanted to go to, because that's the verse I thought of when the pastor was talking on Sunday. But I just feel like in our generation, there are too many of us who are living in the gray area. We are not trying to go to the extreme of showing God that we are really committed to him. So we are continuing to stay around the temptations. We're continuing to do the habits. We're continuing to be the people who are not actually obeying him, who are not sacrificing anything. And we're telling other people in the world that we are followers of Jesus. And it's just blatant disrespect. It's just blatant disrespect, and it's annoying and it's frustrating. So I just really I have a heart for those who are lukewarm. I have a heart for those who have lived in the gray area, who live in the gray area, because that was me. And I have experienced the gray area life of walking with God, but I have now experienced, by the grace of God, I have experienced what it really means to be hot or cold in him. And so I am so grateful and so thankful that he has pushed me to one side or the other and allowed me to make the decision to fully commit to him, him, fully commit my life to him. And so if you have not done that, if you have not fully committed your life to him, maybe choose today to do that. It's very simple. The word says that if you would believe in your heart and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and he's Lord of your life, and he died for your sins, and he rose again, and he is now seated at the right hand of the Father, then if you would say that prayer to him, and if you would ask him to come into your life and come into your heart, then you believe. You're done. You have said yes to him. You have allowed him in. Now allow him to work. Allow him to work in your heart and in your life, and to do the work that he wants to do. So anyway, I'm really done, y'all. Okay. If this was for you, please drop some in the comments. Okay. Because when I tell y'all I'm ready to go sit on the couch, that's what I'm about to go do. But like, really, if this was for you, if you really need to hear this, definitely drop something in the comments. Tap the like button if you enjoyed it, or if you were convicted and enjoyed it in some weird way. And of course, share it with anyone that you believe needs to hear it. I believe it's something for our generation to hear, and I don't mind being the voice that says it over and over and over and over from the mountaintops. Okay. I want to see us all on fire. I want to see us all on fire for the Lord, doing the things that he's called us to do, being the women and the men. I know there's some men on here, being the men and the women who he's called us to be. So anyway, if you enjoyed it, let me know, and hopefully I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.